Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the corner and welcome to your pre-match. Welcome to your preview. Chelsea versus PSG in the Club World Cup final. It is here. And all throughout this week, since we made it to the final, since we figured out that PSG are going to be in the final with us, I've seen large portion of the Chelsea fan base feeling a bit worried, feeling a bit scared, the way PSG dismantled Real Madrid as well. There's a little bit of skepticism, there's a little bit of fear, and all of that is warranted. All of that is quite okay. But me personally, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you guys that let's forget about all of that. For a second, for this match, let's look at the opposition that they're not invincible. They're not someone that they can't be beaten. In this competition itself, PSG were beaten by Botafogo. Now, I'm not saying we're going to deploy Botafogo's tactics on that day, but I'm not going to be sitting here expecting an L. I believe this set of players, I believe this set of group of players and management and everyone that's involved right now, I believe these lot, they're maturing, they're growing. Something has happened since around the end of last season in the Premier League. And I feel like the turning point was when Tariq George scored against Fulham, which then we eventually ended up winning through Pedro Neto. Since that game onwards, something clicked. Something has clicked, and we've gone on through a fine run. And on top of that, we've learned. Every time we've faltered, we have learned from those adversities. Every player seems to be playing for each other now, whereas previously there was a prolonged period where you could see the communication was off. You could see the camaraderie wasn't there. Now, all of a sudden, it's all clicked. I don't know exactly what has happened, but something has happened. We're making the right decisions as well, on and off the field. The right players are leaving. The right players are coming in, as opposed to last summer and previous windows as well. So I'm not sitting here and looking at PSG scared, and I'm not going to sit here and endure the entire 90 minutes. And plus, if there is more to it, if there's extra time and penalties, I'm not going to sit here being scared. People keep talking about, oh, Chelsea better have the game of their lives. Of course, we better have the game of our lives. And I'm pretty sure we will have the game of our lives. You see the way our players are talking about this match in the press conference, and it's not like they're making this up. They're speaking from their hearts, and they're saying you can big up the opposition as much as that you want. Yes, the opposition is amazing. Yes, they are the best team in the world right now. No doubts about that. They're the European champions. There doesn't seem to be many flaws in that team. But we're not going to just sit here like a dummy and just allow them to do whatever they want to do. Equally, they need to be on their toes. Equally, they better bring their A game. Or else, if we have our finest performance, which I'm pretty certain we will, I don't think we're going to bend over backwards the way Real Madrid did. Look at the way Real Madrid got dismantled. Look at all the goals Real Madrid conceded. Majority of them, if not all of them, are self-inflicted, were unforced errors. Now, I fully expect us to have a match without any errors. Because if we make errors, we're done. So first and foremost, we need to have a match that is flawless. And then, if PSG don't bring their A game and we bring our A game, PSG ain't going to get away with their B or C type of games. They better be on their toes as well. On top of that, there's so many other different motivations to talk about in this game. PSG have beaten all of the English Premier League teams this season. We want to be the one that's not beaten by them. Club World Cup, this is the first one of its nature. We want to be the first one winning it. Inaugural competition. We want to be able to have that golden badge for the next 4 seasons and have bragging rights across the world, across every single teams out there. We've just tasted what winning a trophy means recently by winning the Conference League. And I get it, it's Conference League, but that's what was in front of us. We won it. And now we're into the final again, back-to-back finals for us. All throughout this competition, even when we lost against Flamengo, I said, I don't think we actually played a bad game, you know. Tactically, we were sound. We made some errors. But since that game, all of our matches have been very, very good. Benfica, if it wasn't for that delay, we should have seen that match through, and Benfica had nothing. And then we slapped them. Palmeiras would take care of business. Fluminense absolutely bamboozled them. These are not Mickey Mouse teams one bit. These are strong teams, man. These are absolutely strong teams. Yes, PSG have gone through some tougher opponents, no problems, but we can get them. We can get them. So I'm sitting here and I'm saying PSG, just bring it, bitch. Do you know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it. That's how I'm looking at it. Now, let's look at how I feel we can beat PSG. It ain't going to be easy. I think the best way to look at this, ladies and gentlemen, is actually look at what PSG could possibly put out. Now, this is what I think PSG might put out, ladies and gentlemen. Donnarumma in goalkeeping position. Now, William Pacho, I don't know. Some people are saying he's suspended, but let's just say for argument's sake, he's there. Even if he's not there, it doesn't really matter. Mendes, Marquinhos, Hakimi, we know they're fantastic three in midfield. Ruiz, Neves, and Vitinha will play, and up front, we know it's going to be Cavara, Dembele, Desiree Doué. That's their fab three up front as well. So as you can see, it's firstly important to understand what they can bring in their lineup. Now, generally what happens is they like to press, they like to play from the front foot, they like to box the opposition in, but it all depends on how we react to that. If they press the way they generally do, three up front, they could potentially press with midfielders like this. They could have Hakimi come forward. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, if they do this sort of stuff, it does leave gaps in behind Hakimi and Mendes. And that could potentially be a problem. So it depends. If they press with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they have the other 5 sort of stacked just behind them, Mendes, Neves, Hakimi, Pacho, and Marquinhos, we have to understand if they press with 5, we should have 6 ready. Because 5v5, that could potentially turn out to be a bit of a problem. You can include the goalkeeper, and that could be 6. But you want to make sure that if you have numerical advantage on them, then they can press as much as they want. We should always have a free man ready. All right, that's one thing. Just because they press hard, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to buckle. It all depends on how we can counter. And they can't press like that all throughout the game, ladies and gentlemen. They simply cannot. The conditions in the United States, it's hot. They'll burn out. So depending on how many they press with, depending on where are they leaving the gaps, which will be just in behind their fullbacks, because their fullbacks love bombing forward. Now, whether they want to tuck inside the wingers or they want to potentially, what could happen is these 3 midfielders, they generally stay pretty close by. they could potentially have these wingers tuck in, and then these fullbacks could be even wider, right? Bottom line, if they do something in this manner, where Ruiz is a lot more, say, closer, and a lot more, you know, Vitinha is a lot more closer to Hakimi, Ruiz a lot more closer to Mendes, just to cover those spaces. There's always going to be gaps. There's always going to be gaps to exploit. Now, it's up to you how you want to exploit. So, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is not an easy team, but I feel like the issues are around Mendes, Ruiz, Pacho, and the space in behind. Or you could even if you can find overload in midfield, you could potentially find central gaps as well. And Pacho and Marquinhos. Oh, look, it's not that long ago we've seen Aston Villa's trouble them in the second leg in the Champions League. It wasn't that long ago. Arsenal as well troubled them. Arsenal ended up losing, but Arsenal did trouble them. Now, so to counter this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the lineup I'd have. Now, I know a lot of you guys might not appreciate this, but this is the lineup I think is best suited. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to run through it. Sanchez in goalkeeping position, on the ball, Cucurella. So this is the new system that we're deploying, where we do generally like to build up with three at the back. Cucurella, Colwell, Chalobah, Caicedo, Reece James, and I'll tell you why. I know a lot of you guys might not appreciate this. Malo Gusto out wide, Neto out wide, Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer, the inside forwards, João Pedro up front. Now, the reason for this, why have I gone for a back three? Now, there could be alternatives as well, but this is the way I'm thinking about it. I need fast defenders. Now, I could play Tosin, but I just feel like Tosin against these lot, they're so fast. I want to have Chalobah. And Colwell has been very, very good all throughout probably the last 6 or 7 games of the Premier League. And moving into this Club World Cup, he's been one of the most fantastic players for us in defense. His ball playing ability from the middle is important. Now, it could potentially be Colwell as an LCB and Tosin in the middle, with Chalobah in that case might lose out, with Reece James coming there and Cucurella potentially moving into midfield. But I'm going with this because Cucurella is fast. Colwell is better suited through the middle, and he's not some sort of a mug. He's quite fast as well. Probably not the fastest, but I feel like he's faster than Tosin. And Chalobah, his wide ability to defend out wide is very, very important. Now, off the ball, he'll tuck in, and Reece James might come into right back, or even Malo Gusto might come into right back, whatever the case is. Chalobah in these wide areas, that's why I want this back line against this front line, because they can combat the pace. That's number one. Now, out wide, I want Neto and Malo Gusto. Now, the reason for this is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have any other wingers. Madueke has gone to Arsenal. I'm not going to all of a sudden throw Tyreek George in the mix. Now, a lot of you guys could say, oh, why don't you play João Pedro? Now, I could play João Pedro there and Neto on the right side. And then up front, I could play with Delap. But then one of these fullbacks, or one of these wingers, will have to contribute in defending. If I have João Pedro there and Neto on the right and Delap up front, I need one of them to drop back, because it's three at the back only on the ball. Off the ball, what I expect here is Cucurella to become left back, Colwell to be centre back, Chalobah to be centre back, Reece James to come in as a right back, or Malo Gusto to come in as a right back. So if Reece James comes in as a right back, then I expect Malo Gusto to come into the midfield area. Now, if I use Neto or João Pedro, I can't expect Neto to come in as a right back or a midfielder. Similarly with João Pedro. This is why Malo Gusto is the best option here for me. Reece James, you could potentially say Andre Santos, right? You could potentially say Andre Santos, but then you'd expect Malo Gusto to go up and down and cover as become right back, because you don't want Andre Santos to tuck in and become right back off the ball. And that's a big distance to cover. So this is why this Enzo Maresca's tactics, I feel like, is he doesn't want a player to cover huge grounds because it's going to take time. And someone like PSG will not allow you that time. They will, if they want to counter, they'll counter with speed and they'll eat up that ground. And you need players to cover small distances, right? That's why I think Reece James playing here, because there's no Romeo Lavia. If there was Romeo Lavia, then Chalobah doesn't play and Reece James plays in this area, and then you'd see Cucurella potentially bomb forward. And we've seen that. Whenever Lavia plays, Reece James plays as an RCB, Colwell then plays as an LCB, and then you'll see Tosin in the middle. But because there's no Romeo Lavia, we're going with this. You could potentially, as I said, play with Andre Santos and have Reece James out wide, Colwell as LCB, and Tosin in the middle. That could potentially be a thing, but I just feel like Reece James in that position, in Chalobah's position, I don't know. There might be a lot of running. There might be a lot of running involved due to PSG's attacking threats that they have, right? And the other factor is, if you have Andre Santos there and Reece James as right back, you then need Reece James to bomb forward, because then there's no Malo Gusto, right? So say, for example, you change this to Andre Santos, right? You change Reece James to Andre Santos. And instead of having Chalobah, you have Reece James there. Let's change this up. Let's work on that. Let's work on that. Let's say for argument's sake, you put Andre Santos there. Yeah. Let's say you put Andre Santos there. Let's say you take out Chalobah, you put Reece James here. Right? You're not going to have Cucurella there. Then that would mean you'd have Pedro Neto here. And you'll have Colwell here. And you'll have Tosin here. And you'll potentially have Cucurella here. Because you need to have the right balance. You need to have the right balance. Now, this could potentially be another way of playing. And basically, off the ball, what happens is Reece James will tuck in as right back, Tosin and Colwell will be CB, and then Cucurella will have to come in as left back. But problem, once again, Cucurella will have to cover large distances to come back as left back. This is why I don't like this that much. Colwell will be left in these wide areas, and I don't think that is the best method. This is why I'm going to switch back to Cucurella. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, having the right balance is so important in this whole situation, because or else you're going to get caught out, or else you're really going to get caught out. So let me just switch this up. This is why, for me, this is the best solution. This, for me, is the best solution. Don't want Colwell to be out wide. For me, this is the best solution. Caicedo, Reece James, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer in the middle, João Pedro. So for me, basically what happens off the ball is Reece James will tuck in as right back, Gusto will come into midfield. And the reason why I want these four as well, Reece James, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Cole Palmer, you want to have a numeric advantage over Ruiz, Neves, and Vitinha. So they're going to have three in midfield. And potentially they could even add Mendes and Hakimi as well in midfield. You're going to have Caicedo, Reece James, Palmer. So you're going to have these guys close to each other. You're going to have these four. And sometimes you're going to even have João Pedro come in. So you're going to operate with five midfielders. And João Pedro will have to be like a false nine. And Neto and Gusto will try and utilize the space that's left behind by Mendes and Hakimi. So, look, all the tactics you can have, But if each and every one of these guys don't execute the game properly, then you're going to be in trouble. For me, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best lineup to combat. That's just my personal opinion. This is how I feel you can beat them. You got pace in defense. You've got the mobility of all of these players to play in midfield and make sure that you're not outnumbered by the PSG players, especially the three over there. And all of these players are quite press resistant. And then you've got the wide players to ensure that players like Mendes and Hakimi are always kept honest and in check. I feel like this is the best combination. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. I feel like that is the best way to beat. We'll see how the lineup turns out to be. My prediction, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to win. We're going to win. I've said it even way before this competition started that I felt like we're going to go in and win this. Yes, things have fallen into our place. Fantastic. Love it. But I just feel like we're primed to win this, man. I just feel like we are primed to win this. I'm going with a score prediction of 2-1 Chelsea. Going with a score prediction of 2-1 Chelsea in normal time. 90 minutes. It's going to be over. We'll be Club World Cup champions. Champions of the world. I cannot wait. I simply cannot wait. And I feel like these group of players, they deserve it. And not just the players, the entire management, they deserve it. And we're finally making some right moves, I feel, as a football club as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys for the watch along, God willing. 1.5 hours before kickoff. I cannot wait. I simply cannot wait. Let me know your thoughts about this match. Let me know your thoughts about the lineups, the matchups. Would you do something differently? Do you feel the way I've tactically sort of played it out? Would you go that way? Let me know everything in the comment section. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time, take care. See ya. Bye.